I'm new in my faith. My immune system is compromised, so I'm not able to really leave the house much. I feel isolated in this journey towards my faith and trying to understand what this means. And my family and my friends don't believe like I believe currently, so that makes it even more compounding. How do I find community in this? So here's the thing. There are lots of different techniques in order to find your own tribe, so to speak, your own community. Obviously, you can connect with us here at the Journey Principles Institute through social media platform, through any kind of social media, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much you name it, we're pretty much there, at least under my name. That being said, I think another way you can actually connect with your community is to do something called meetups. There are meetups that are pretty much registered, and if you're new to your faith, especially right now at the time of this recording, we're still dealing with the pandemic, hopefully the last stages of it, but we are still dealing with it, which makes everything more difficult to have, face-to-face interaction. And since you have a compromised immune system, that could make it even more difficult for you. So precautions need to be taken. So here's what I recommend. I recommend using some of the meetup tools, right? So Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, things of that nature. And to really just kind of put yourself out there, kind of say, hey, look, I am new in my faith and I'm trying to figure out what that means for me. And it's something I'm passionate about. And I'd like to have some mentorship, or I'd like to have somebody around me that I can at least talk about these things to, so I can have a better understanding. Okay, so that's step one. Look for your own tribe and mentorship and things of that nature. Like I said, a lot of different ways you can do that. You can do it through social media. You can do it through Zoom. You can do it through Skype. You can also do it through the traditional methods of what's known as Meetup. So those are different options, okay? Number two, I think it's going to be important for you to take personal ownership of your own journey, your own faith walk. And I will tell you, honestly, it'll probably start off really hot and heavy, and you're really excited, you're really passionate about your faith and all that kind of stuff. And then you may start to decline a little bit as life begins to kind of hit you in the nose a little bit, and then you'll pick it up back up again. So that's what the faith journeys are like, or what's it about. So here's what I recommend. I recommend a minimum of 10 pages a day of studying the actual scriptures, assuming your faith is Christianity, okay? I would spend your time actually doing that and actually reading the Bible by itself. I personally am a huge fan of Proverbs and the book of John. Those are my two favorite books of the Bible. I have no problem talking about it. I have no problem sharing my perspective on faith specifically. But I think at the end of the day, your walk is your walk, and you have to take responsibility for your walk. In time, the pandemic stuff will end. In time, you'll be able to have more face-to-face interactions. But for right now, you can utilize technology for one and then personal relationship for the other. I think if you'll do both of those things, I think you'll be well on your way and you can stick it out with your faith. And again, if you have any questions or any kind of like connection points, we have many people at the Journey Principles Institute who share your faith and share my faith, who'd be happy to talk to you about faith as well. So I hope that helps. I'm chronically dyslexic, but aspire one day to write my own book. What are my first steps? You are preaching to the choir. My team will tell you all day long that my spelling and grammar sucks, largely because I have elements of dyslexia. My brain will actually put words into sentences that aren't actually there, even if I read it back to somebody. Tell me that ain't wild and crazy. Not to mention the spelling that goes with it, okay? So as you know, I've written my first book, and my second book is coming out. So here's some of the things that I do to help aid me in making it a bit easier. First of all, own it. Own it. You're dyslexic. So what? Maybe you struggle with spelling, but you're probably highly creative and a very astute creative problem solver. That is normal with dyslexia. In fact, they are some of the most profound companies in the world, like JetBlue, for example, were founded by dyslexic owners and entrepreneurs. There's something there, okay? So own it. I don't have a problem telling you I'm dyslexic. Zero problem with it whatsoever. And to make people who are more critical about spelling and grammar know that hey, this is just part of me, I actually have an email subject line that says, hey, look, creative spelling, compliments of dyslexia, that I stole from a good friend of mine, Doug Stewart. Why? Because he struggles with dyslexia. And you know what? I don't want somebody to think I'm an idiot. I'm honestly trying to communicate and trying to communicate well. I tend to do it decent on camera. So baby steps, okay? Own it, number one. Number two, utilize it for your strengths. Here's what I recommend. One of the things that I've discovered, especially in this world of technology today, is the voice-to-type scenario. Now, I will tell you going into it, not every platform is equal. You got to find the right one that works for you. There's Dragon, you can use Google Speak, you can even use Siri to a degree, which I don't recommend, but you could use it, all right? These different avenues allow you to speak in clarity what it is you are trying to say. And all you have to do is remember where a comma goes, where a period goes, and where an exclamation point goes. So I can say the dog jumped over the fence, period. And the system will automatically start the next sentence. That is one of the easier ways to kind of get around some of the spelling things. Now, that doesn't mean it's perfect. You still need to take another look at the sentence specifically to kind of look at it again. That being said, the next thing to put in place when you're working through dyslexia, right, is to actually take the time to read it one more time than maybe a normal person would have to read the writing. I typically might have to read the same piece of information probably 3 times before I actually catch some of the mistakes that are there. Because the first time through, my brain, the way my brain works is I'm actually writing how I would speak. Does that make sense? So as a result, I'm going to miss certain pieces of grammar and things of that nature. Okay? Case in point. All right, next thing. The next thing I would do if you're struggling with dyslexia is to surround yourself with somebody who's really gifted at editing, right? Who understands this is how you're wired. They don't judge you for it. It's not a big deal. I will tell you that I have team members on this team and on my other teams that help backfill that particular blind spot, right? I bring something unique to the table. They bring something unique to the table. So I bring on other people who can actually edit, spelling, edit, grammar. And even at times I've brought in people to reword some of my sentences so they're not as visionary minded and are more practical so you can absorb them. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think more than anything else, you got to own it and then you got to get it out, right? So own the fact you got dyslexia, no big deal. Now get it out. Whether it's voice to type, voice to text, what do you want to call it, right? Whatever that is, do it that way. If you want to take a step further and you have a little extra resources, and what you can do is you can do what we're doing right now. You can record a video or an audio track and then hire a transcription service to transcribe it for you. All of these different things are tools in your tool bag to help you actually start to get the chapters written. Because I'm telling you, you can make a fantastic work of art just by trying, just by getting creative. That's what dyslexic people do. We get creative. So get creative, get started, and let's see that book come to fruition. All right, our next question is this one. Currently, I'm deployed overseas until next year. First of all, thank you for your service. I really appreciate it. Seriously. My team and I wouldn't be able to do what we do today if we didn't have the freedoms to do so, and I appreciate what you do. It will be my first holiday season away from my family and friends. What are some ways to stay encouraged through this upcoming season? You know what? So honest to God, true story. I wasn't deployed, but I did have a situation one year when I couldn't actually buy Christmas presents because unfortunately my financial habits had put me into a place where I didn't have anything to offer. Okay. And as a result, I actually felt kind of isolated and alone because I didn't really want people to know where I was at. Okay. Now your situation is a little bit different, but I think there's one common denominator we can both learn from that, is that the simple things matter. The simple things matter. That particular year, because I didn't have the access to any kind of money to buy any kind of gift for anyone, what I did was I took a pen and a pad and I began sketching out and drawing pictures for people that I loved. For my dad, for example, I actually cut a picture out of a magazine and took it with a Sharpie and found a picture of a truck that he wanted. I put somehow, someday, some way. Meaning I don't know how this is going to happen, but this is a goal I have for you. For my grandfather, I drew him a picture of Jesus, which is obviously his and my one of my favorite people in the world. Okay. And I still have that picture today. Right? I still have a copy of it. Okay. Those are different aspects and different tools to exchange a gift of love, even though you may not be able to exchange the hug of love, so to speak. Right. Just focus on the small things. When you're sitting in your bunk and you're overseas or your time away and you're reflecting, take a few things that maybe remind you of your family and then think about it from a spirit of gratitude. Think about the different things that maybe that person added value to you. Maybe you can journal in your book or even send them a letter saying, hey, look, I just want to tell you this specific time, this one time you did this thing or you talked to me in this direction and it really encouraged me, it really helped me. Like, just share your gratitude. Sometimes the best way to stay out of a funk is to actually continually express gratitude for the things that you do have. The reality is you may be deployed and you may be doing something very important for us. That is a sacrifice. So I want to extend gratitude to you for even having that sacrifice to begin with, because not everybody was willing. You were. That's something to be proud of, something to take ownership of. It's also a way you can actually use the time and energy to make sure, right, that you are walking through a process that allows you to showcase your love and admiration for people by simply journaling, drawing pictures, just doing the small stuff. Maybe wherever you're deployed at, maybe is a place that has a very unique culture of some kind that you can actually get a small gift that doesn't cost very much that you could send back home, right? Or maybe there's people there that you meet that reminds you of your loved ones. So, hey, look, I just met this guy at the store or at this little, assuming you're obviously overseas in like Afghanistan, right? I met this guy in this tent where we were exchanging gifts because of X, Y, and Z, and his spirit reminded you of me, or reminded you of reminded me of you. I was going to get it out eventually. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes the most important things are the small things. I think if you operate consistently in a spirit of creativity and gratitude, you are going to be able to feel close even though you may be far away. And those that love you will also feel close even though you're far away. I hope that helps. All right, I hope you enjoyed the question and answer session for today. If you want your question answered on a future episode or here or on Instagram, go ahead and email me at questions@journeyprinciples.com, and I'll be happy to take the time to answer it the best way possible so you can begin to win in your life. Thanks again for watching.